Rockstars, Eric Andres, your guitar sage here. Let me ask you, do you have issues when you're trying to play by ear? Do you find that the notes or the chords that you're trying to grab just aren't even on the radar of what you're actually hearing? Do you think that guitar players are born with some sort of special golden ear that allows them to hear things that you and I can't hear? Friends, if you answered yes to any of these, you're in the right place. I'm about to drop a mega bombshell on you. Here you go. 80% of playing by ear has to do with your knowledge of music theory, not your ear itself. And I'm going to show you the 3 things that you need to know in order to navigate this. All right, let's do this. All right, so I know that you're probably saying, Eric, you better deliver on this because I clicked on this video and I want to know that what you're saying is true. I promise you this is true. Let me give you an analogy very quickly and then I'm going to give you the goods. You could take the best captain of a ship or the best pilot that the world has ever seen, and if you take away the tools that they use to navigate, they will be as worthless as you and I, who, if we've never studied how to navigate a ship or fly a plane, we'd be lost, right? So literally, if you take those tools away, the tools that they were used to train with, whether that was radar or measuring the stars or using a sextant, right, on a ship to measure the stars and figure out their latitude, longitude, all that stuff. If you took those tools away, they would be completely worthless. If you said, no, they'd still be good because they had navigational abilities, it doesn't work like that. You need tools. You need things to navigate and to determine where you are and where it is that you're going, okay? So work with me here for just a moment. For the musician, those tools is music theory. And really, you don't need to know a very in-depth music theory. You just need to know some basic bits. Just like you don't need to know massive amounts of navigational information in order to just look at a map, know where you're at on the map, know where you need to go, and then to know the trek. Okay, so essentially that's what we're going to be talking about. So without further ado, let's get into it. But essentially, if you don't have the tools, you're not going to be able to do what it is that you need to do. Okay, so what happens is a lot of folks, when they're going to play by ear, they think, now let's get this myth out of the way as well. They think that Steve Vai, or I don't care, name the guitar player who's a great guitar player, they automatically think, most do at least, that player has some sort of way that they're hearing music that either they were born with or possibly they developed it, but nonetheless, they're hearing music differently. I can assure you that they're not hearing music any differently than you and I, but what they are doing is they're taking the information that's hitting their ears and they're able to analyze it in such a way that it does give them a net sum that's different than, say, someone who doesn't have that information. And that's where the music theory comes in. There's something called Pareto's rule, right? Have you ever heard this? Where if you know 20% of the information, basically you can get 80% of the job done, but it's not just any 20%, it's a specific 20%. And that's the other thing that we're going to be talking about, are the 3 things that you need to know in order to navigate all this. The 3 small pieces of music theory information that anybody can do. Take it from a guy who took algebra 5 times in college, not because he loved it, but because I'm not good at math. If I can learn it, you can learn it. Okay, so let's talk about it. So, number 1, the first thing one needs to know is what the tonal center is. Okay, we'll talk about this in a minute. The second thing that one needs to know is what notes, the possible notes that are related to that tonal center. And the last thing is the chords that are related to the notes that are related to the tonal center. All super easy stuff to understand. We'll talk about it today. And I have places where you can go where you can get even more detail on this, okay? So, again, let's talk about it. Let's say we have a map and we know how to read a map. Let's say we know the music theory, okay? But we don't know where we are on that map. Well, that's going to make it really difficult to get where we're going to go if we don't know where we are, okay? This is what I refer to as the tonal center, and that changes everything. If we know what the tonal center of a song is, then automatically, instead of having possibilities of however many frets and strings we have here and the different keys and what have you, what it does is says, okay, this is the tonal center, and the tonal center has certain rules related to it. What notes should appear naturally according to diatonic harmony, or to make it more simple, the major scale. And then those notes determine what chords should be played, okay? So let's talk about this very quickly. The bits and pieces that I'm going to give you here, if I were to cover it all, it would be a much longer video than you would want to watch, and also some of you have different skill sets, so I don't want to go into all the details here, but I'll give you information on where you can get all that stuff. Most of it is here on YouTube for free. But essentially, in order for us to find the tonal center of a song, and I have other videos for this, but essentially the first chord, the last chord of the song usually will determine what the tonal center of the song is. Also, the key signature will tell you what the tonal center is. If you know the notes or some of the chords, that fingerprint of music will also tell you what the tonal center is, okay? Now, this is not a video on that, because again, that's a long lesson, okay? But essentially, if we know the tonal center of a song by using some of the bits and pieces that I mentioned to you there, then what that does is it all of a sudden shows us the map much more clearly than if we didn't have it, okay? So let's say we have a tonal center of a G, okay? That tonal center is G major. We'll say G major. Well, the G major scale is that, okay? If you want to know what that is, if we're talking whole steps and half step being 1 fret, whole step being 2 frets, then if we're at a G, then the formula every single time for every major scale in the history of ever, on every instrument ever, goes like this. It goes, you got your first note. You're going to skip whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. We could have started at any note, doesn't matter, and if we do that pattern of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, or 2 wholes and a half, 3 wholes and a half, then you will get whatever major key that you're looking for. Okay, this works for minor keys too, but you're going to need more information on that. Basically, you would start at the 6 instead of the 1. Okay, if some of this is going over your head, I told you there's some information that you need. I've got tons of information for you. Don't get frustrated because you don't know it all in one thing. Okay, in one video, that would be mad, right? So. And I have a free course for you if you want that, YourGuitarSage.com/30. Sometimes people get upset that I'm giving them free information. I don't know, but that free course is there for you, and it will fill in much of these gaps for you, okay? YourGuitarSage.com/30. I'll try to remember to put the link in the description of this video. So we just need to know the major scale, okay? And then what that does is it tells us what the other notes are. But, here we go. In this case, in the key of G, we have whole step, half, whole, 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 half. Now, of course, whatever the first note is, you play it. And then when you move to the second note, that's the first time you say whole, whole. We did this with C. Let's do it with C. We're going to have whole step, half step, whole, 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 half. Now, the names of the notes, sharps, flats, A's, B's, C's, and all that stuff, doesn't really matter. It can matter for you if you want to know that, but realistically, if we just know where the notes are, that's the only thing that really matters, and we can build our chords off of that, okay? So the second thing that one needs to know, we found our tonal center, right, through the 3 things that I mentioned to you. Now we know the tonal center. Now we know that the major scale is going to be based off of the 1, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And the chords that are going to match these notes would go like this. Major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, and back to our 1. So the chordal scale might sound like this. Major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, and back to our 1 again, okay? This occurs like 99% of the time. This is like the natural fingerprint of music, if you will. Okay, now I explain all this stuff in detail in hundreds and hundreds of videos inside my courses. So if you're interested in that, then you can check that out. Otherwise, you're going to have to believe me on some of this stuff, okay? So you've got your scale and you've got your chords. Now, why is that information very helpful? I'll tell you why. Because first off, you're going to listen to a song, and you're like, I really want to learn this song. I'm going to learn it by just listening to it, by playing by ear. Okay, yes, your ear has to tell you some things like, well, what's the tonal center? So if you hear this, if you hear that note and the song starts off like this, on that G, well then chances are we're in the key of G, and you need to be able to hear that note and you need to be able to find it on your guitar, okay? That's a very simple thing that you can learn how to do. Here on YouTube, you probably could search YourGuitarSage ear, E-A-R, and you'll find another video where I'm showing you how to do that. So once you know how to do that, you've got your notes, you've got your applicable chords that most likely, 99% of the time, are going to appear in that specific key. Now guess what? Now you're like that navigator who knows how to read the tools. It's not that your ear, no one's expecting your ear to be able to hear diminished chords, minor chords, major chords, 7th, 9th, 11th, 12th, or 13th chords right away. No one has the capability of doing that usually right away. There's a few savants out there that have perfect pitch, but if they don't have the labels, the music theory to go along with it, they don't know what they're hearing. They'd have to attach a label to it. Does that make sense? Major, minor, diminished, that sort of thing. So you don't have to have a perfect pitch or, be born with some special skill, which is very, 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 very rare, okay? The experts that you see, Vi and Joe Pass and all these guys, they don't have perfect pitch. They have this, what I'm showing you, okay? They understand the construction, the basic construction of music. We don't have to have a PhD in this, okay? It's all the same info anyhow. Okay, so what this does is, if someone says I'm in the key of G, automatically I'm going to know that G is going to be the tonal center. There's probably going to be a C major, a D major, and an E minor, A minor. Those are chords that most likely are going to appear. Now, why is that helpful? Because just like a great navigator, if I'm looking at a map of the world and I'm freaking out, like a lot of people do about music, because they look at the fretboard and they freak out, and they're like, I don't understand this. Well, that's like looking at a map of the world, when really, you just need to be looking at a map of your town. If we drill down even further, you just need to look at the map of where you're at and where you want to go. Let's not complicate things, okay? So, what this method does is it shows you the 7 notes that should appear and the 7 chords maximum that will probably appear in your song that you're listening to, as opposed to the thousands of different chord possibilities that it could be. Now, it's narrowed it down to just a handful of chords. Wow, how helpful would that be to know that every time? Okay, so the number one thing is you've got to know your tonal center. If you're trying to learn something by ear without finding your tonal center, this is that 80% that I'm talking about. You're really going to be wasting a lot of time. So this is where I highly encourage you to learn a little bit about the major scale, a little bit about a tonal center, a little bit about naturally occurring diatonic chords, or the chords that naturally appear in the major scale. See, if we took the harmonies from this, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we built harmonies on top of that, and we played that scale, we would have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and back to our major chord. And that, my friends, is literally 95% of the information that you're going to need in order to pull songs off of a record and be able to play them. Also, if you're trying to learn a guitar solo or something like that, it's truly going to help you know what areas of the neck that guitar player most likely is going to play that solo. Because if this song is in G major, well, there are certain places where that scale most likely is going to be played, or the pentatonic scale is going to be played in a certain place, or the minor scale is going to be played in a certain place. Instead of just randomly every single note and every single chord that you hear, you're just searching for it by ear. Boy, that's a really, really, really hard way of doing things. Don't want you to do that. I want things to be easy for you. All right, my friends, now I could drill down. This lesson could be a really, really long lesson. I don't want it to be. I'm just trying to give you a basic overview here. If you want more about any of these subjects that I've talked about here on YouTube, if it's the major scale, search YourGuitarSage Major. If it's ear, search YourGuitarSage Ear. If it's diatonic, search YourGuitarSage Diatonic. With all that being said, here on YouTube, things are tough. If you're navigating, you're being distracted, everything else. That's why I specifically created this free program for you, the top 30 lessons I teach all my students, with all that music theory in there for them so that they can navigate this and not spend hours and days and weeks on the internet stuck and still not getting any place. Because really, this is a systematic approach of learning how to understand the guitar. If you want that, YourGuitarSage.com/30. I ain't forcing you. It's there for you for free, or visit me here in Nashville. We'll do the lessons. It'll cost over $1,000 in about 30 weeks, and we'll learn the same stuff. Either way is fine with me. I'm cool with it, but I'll make sure to put that link inside the description of the video. So, my friends, again, 80% of playing by ear is truly your knowledge of music theory. If you don't know some basic music theory, you're literally stabbing in the dark at every single note, at every single chord. It's gonna be tough. If you think that you don't have a good enough ear, chances are it has nothing to do with your ear. You're hearing the same stuff, okay? Even if you have diminished hearing from loud noises or an injury or something like that, you're still hearing the same stuff, just maybe not as loud. So you've got it within you to do this. You just need to apply some music theory. You're going to be off to the races, okay? The 3 things you need to know is the tonal center. If you don't know the tonal center, that's everything. That's where are you on the map. You can have a map, you can have all the tools, all the music theory, right? You can know how to navigate, you can have the map, but if you don't know where you're at on the map, you're screwed. Got to know where you're at. That's the tonal center. Knowing the notes then will fall into place, because you know the tonal center, you know the notes via the major scale. Once you know the notes, you know the chords that you need to play. Major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7. We can break those rules, but those are the ones that are going to appear the majority of the time. My friends, you have the 3 tools that you need to know. Trust me on this. Take that free course. It's there for you. Please let me know how I can help, friends. Leave those questions below. If you liked this video, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, because I have tons of videos like these that are going to get you out of the dark and into the light so that you can know what you're doing on your guitar and you can have a blast. Song videos, theory videos, the whole 9 yards. Hit subscribe, my friends. Like this video. Leave your comments below. I know I've probably missed something, or if I can clear something up for you, I would love to do that. I'm here to help. I'm passionate about guitar. I'm passionate about helping folks, and I want to help you. Let me know how I can do that. All right, my friends, I'll see you in another video. As always, be kind to all beings. Do the right thing, always. It's within you to be able to do that. And practice your guitar all the time. I'll see you in another video.